You probably don't know this already, but if you do, then watch this video anyway. This is the most boring video I will put out, because this is the most boring video I will put out. Think about that. Whatever you write to the parent will be translated into Chinese first, most likely. Or if the parent knows English, they're going to translate it in their head. So you want to write in a sort of simple way. And maybe I don't do that here, but let's see. We continued to learn about body parts. Frankly, he did a poor job. It was all a futile exercise because of your son's lack of potential. Hope you can hear me with this microphone. Like this. I would be willing to bet that this is because Henry does not have an ear for music, and cannot hear the subtle differences between sounds. Am I correct in assuming he has never touched a violin, which isn't saying much, but he is still an average student, and you should focus your efforts on your other children if you have them. Even a girl would do better than Henry. I'm especially discouraged in hearing Henry's pronunciation of the letter L. Whether it comes at the beginning, middle, or end of a word, Henry always gets it wrong. Remember to end on a positive note. See what I did there? You always want to frame your feedback positively. I did mention what Henry can work on, but then there's on the bright side, I'm happy that his learning is important to you. You are a well-meaning mother. I trust that your sincere love for Henry will help dry his tears. So there's the positive, the sort of silver lining or positive bright side. Always include that. It's the Alt-H tip. The Gloryhole tip. And it's called the Alt-H tip. This is called the Gloryhole technique. And it's called that because it involves Gloryhole. This technique that I'm about to share with you is called the Gloryhole technique, because a glory hole is an untidy cupboard or an untidy room. And if you're not using this technique, then it's like you have an untidy cupboard, an untidy room or cupboard used for storage. This technique will help you leave feedback speedily. So, let's look at some feedback. This is sort of similar to copy and paste. Just to start things off, OneNote is the worst word editor, word processor ever devised. And it's certainly the worst if you're going to leave feedback, because Microsoft OneNote does not have a copy and replace all function. If you have your student's name, Henry, let's say, appearing 12 times in your feedback, as it is right here in this feedback, you're going to need to copy and replace, copy, replace, copy, replace 12 times manually for each of your students. Whereas in just about any other word editor, all you do is replace all, and it replaces all instances of Henry. So, let's look at some feedback. This is just example feedback. Just to give you an idea, this feedback is 667 words. And your feedback doesn't need to be this long. This is just demonstration feedback to show you the power of this glory hole technique. I was so disappointed to see Henry today. I have been hesitant to see him all week. He did a mediocre job in class today. I'm so unimpressed with how little he has developed since last I saw him. We continued to learn about body parts. Frankly, he did a poor job. It was much better today than last time, though, because I could see him clearly. Last time, it looked as if he were in a dungeon. I'm always relieved when my least favorite students like Henry can't schedule due to the main rush. Indeed, I would rather see any other student than Henry. His rushed reading and shabby pronunciation leave much to be desired. I tried in vain to iron out the many wrinkles in his poor pronunciation of several words. It was all a futile exercise because of your son's lack of potential. Of the 3 vocabulary words he reviewed, he pronounced none correctly. The one he needed most work on was the word out. After Teacher John corrected him, he pronounced out better than before, which isn't saying much, but he is still an average student, and you should focus your efforts on your other children if you have them. Alright, let's just dive into the Gloryhole technique right off here. And remember to use your own words, because if we all use this exact template, then parents, so many other teachers are watching this besides you, then parents will receive the same feedback, though it will be translated maybe by a different translator. So that's another thing to keep in mind. When you're leaving feedback, don't try to be fancy with your words, because just try to keep it simple. And if you're going to wax rhapsodic, then do so with imagery and not poetry. So obviously, any sort of extravagance in English will be lost. Alliteration, rhyming, any of that. Imagery, though, is still good. That's going to come across. For example, the imagery here is to iron out the many wrinkles in his poor pronunciation of several words. That won't be lost. Here's what you do. You do, this secret is Alt-H. So you Control H. The secret is hold Control and click H. Hold Control and press H on your keyboard. Hold Control. And while you're holding Control, press H. While you're holding Control, press H. When you do this, a dialog box pops up. Then you fill in Henry with a different student's name, Barnabas. Just like this. Just do what you see on the screen here. There's Henry. Find Henry. Replace with Barnabas. Now don't use your mouse. You want to learn not to use your mouse, because when you become dependent on your mouse, then that slows you down. There will be a slight learning curve here, but you want to use the hotkeys. You see this underlined L over here? Under Replace All, use it. You hold down Alt and press L. And then immediately after that, you hold down Alt and press C for close. Boom, this happens in a flash. It takes much longer for me to explain that than for you to do it once you've got the knack of this. So, Gloryhole. Repeat to yourself, Gloryhole. Where do you want to be? Gloryhole. All of the instances of your student's name are replaced. Even at his young age, it's already clear that he will never learn English fluently. He'll never attend university, and that he'll never be a true success in this life. His many shortcomings, his lack of focus, and his general incompetence eclipse his few positive traits. Despite the above, it's encouraging to see that Henry has somebody to practice with at home. See, you always want to leave something positive. So add a bright side. If your student is struggling, you want to mention something positive. Be diplomatic here. Thank you for providing him with a support system, as it's important for his learning. At least it would be important if his mother weren't a blind woman. Okay. While Henry is in class, it's important for him to interact with his teacher. It's really annoying when I can hear you as parent mumbling all the wrong answers. Remember who the guru is here. That's me. I'm what counts around here. You only exist because of me. If you want to waste your money, blah, blah, blah. The truth is, even though Henry is one of my worst students of all time, he still pronounces English words better than you. And he's 1/3 your age. It's true what they say in America. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I like to give my student the chance to correct himself before I correct him. Sometimes he knows the answer and just temporarily said it wrong. Self-correction is a critical part of language learning and builds confidence and good habits. In the future, please show some self-control to allow your child this opportunity in the classroom. I am very saddened that Henry had you at home, sitting by his side, trying in vain to support him, and only causing more harm. But on the bright side, I'm happy that his learning is important to you. You are, to be sure, a well-meaning mother. I trust that your sincere love for Henry will help dry his tears and pay his heat. Okay. So, there you have it. That's the glory hole technique. I know it's not as sexy as the other techniques I've shared and the other tips I've shared. It's not as exciting, but it's going to serve you well if you use it. You just have to use it a lot. And you may be watching this and thinking, I'm not going to use that. That's boring. That sounds like hard work. This is going to make your life easier. So stop being a little bitch and use the glory hole technique. Grow up.